Hi everybody, today it is Tuesday, February 15th, and you know what yesterday was? It was Valentine's Day, which you will be surprised to know is my feast day. And look, here's Kitty to say Happy Valentine's
Happy
Day.
Valentine's Day, belatedly. Happy feast day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So why is it Father Gregory's feast day? Because believe it or not, my confirmation name is Valentine. So now you know. Now, of course, on Valentine's Day, people give hearts to each other. A heart is a big symbol and everything. And isn't it interesting that today is the feast of a character, a French Jesuit of the 17th century, Saint Claude de la Colombière. And he is significant because in the 17th century in France, in Paris-le-Monial, was a monastery of visitation nuns. Now, the visitation order, we've had a monastery of visitation nuns in our diocese for the last 160 years. They have a monastery in Hanover County. So they're very much a part of the history of our diocese. But back in the 17th century in Paris-le-Monial in France, a visitation monastery, one of the members of it was Saint Margaret Mary Alacoque. And Saint Margaret Mary received visions of Jesus, revealing to her his sacred heart as a symbol of the unfathomable riches of his love for all of us. And so Jesus, as he revealed himself to Saint Margaret Mary, he said, "I'm going to send you my faithful servant and perfect friend to help you realize your mission to reveal the unfathomable love of my heart for human beings." And that perfect servant and perfect friend and faithful servant was Saint Claude de la Colombière that Jesus told Saint Margaret Mary about. Because he was sent to Paris-le-Monial, and he got to know Saint Margaret Mary well and dedicated himself to spreading devotion to the Sacred Heart. So St. Claude, subsequent to that, was sent to England, and in the 17th century, England was not a friendly place for Catholics. It was especially not a friendly place for Catholics. St. Claude was sent there as the chaplain to the Duchess of York. Now, Yorkshire in northern England was always a stronghold of Catholic resistance to King Henry VIII's takeover of the Church of England and his subsequent successors. And so Yorkshire was a stronghold of Catholic resistance. That's why St. Claude was the chaplain to the Duchess of York. And he was doing a lot to help people who were seeking reconciliation with the ancient faith, with their ancient Catholic faith, who had maybe been pulled away by the rebellion in England against the church. So eventually St. Claude was accused falsely of being involved in what was called the Popish plot, to undermine the King of England, and he was sent to the severe King's Bench prison, where the conditions were horrible, until he finally was expelled out of England. But he died because of his sufferings there at the tender age of 41. On this day, this is all getting back to this, on this day is when he died in 1675, I believe. So it's very interesting that yesterday we have St. Valentine's Day, all about love, and today is the feast of St. Claude de la Colombière, who did so much to spread devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus, the symbol of his great love for all of us. St. Margaret Mary said that the charism of St. Claude was bringing souls to God through the gospel way of mercy and love revealed by Christ. Let's talk about some of the things happening this week at Church of St. Therese. Tomorrow night, since this is the third Wednesday of the month, the Sacrament of Reconciliation will be offered between 6:15 and 6:45 Wednesday evening tomorrow night. Also, too, on Friday, we gather together to celebrate a funeral mass for our dearly departed Pat Snyder. So that will be at noon on Friday, so if you can come to that, please do so, and to pray for Pat, who was such an important person in our parish family, and to support her family. So I will close with this prayer of Saint Claude de la Colombière. Lord, I am in this world to show your mercy to others. Other people will glorify you by making visible the power of your grace by their fidelity and constancy to you. For my part, I will glorify you by making known how good you are to sinners, that your mercy is boundless, and that no sinner, no matter how great his offenses, should have reason to despair of pardon. If I have grievously offended you, my Redeemer, let me not offend you even more by thinking that you are not kind enough to pardon me. Amen.